Hi guys, thank you everyone for joining us. Something a little bit different this time. It's going to be something a little bit more serious. We wanted to talk about when we decided to start a family and issues we've had with fertility and eventually endometriosis, which I'd never heard of, but we'll get into that later. So me and Ula met late 2010. We didn't mess around really, did
No.
we? We moved in together in early 2011 and we knew it was right, so we decided straight away we were going to try and start a family. That went on for around about a year.
Yeah, and after the
Yeah.
year we went to the GP because that's the guideline in this
In
country.
the UK, you have to have been trying and for at least 12 months before you can make it. Well, before they'll see you really, before they'll do anything. And we kind of felt fobbed off, to be totally honest.
Yeah,
They just said, it's been a year,
Only a year.
just only a year, just keep trying. So we went away kind of a little bit annoyed, but we did, we carried on trying and still nothing happened. So we waited another 6 months, and then we decided to go back to the doctors, didn't we?
Yeah.
And this time they actually listened, and we got a referral to a fertility clinic in Lancaster, which is it's a city just next to where we live, about 4 miles I think into the town centre. By the time we actually got the appointment though, you're looking at 2.5 years now after we tried to start a family. We had to go and have all kinds of different tests done. I had to have blood tests, I had to have my blood pressure done, I had to produce a sperm sample, I had to have my friend drive me to Lancaster Hospital with a jar of semen under my arm to keep it warm.
It's serious.
I then got to the hospital and didn't know where the hell I was going, so I was wandering around the hospital with a jar of sperm under my arm. And what about yourself? What tests did they do for you?
Well, except all the basic ones, they have not did any scans. They did not do a laparoscopy or anything like this. I had a dye test and basically no tests. They didn't really want to do a lot of tests on me. They just felt like it was not needed.
So after we got the results from all the different tests that we've done, we basically were told that it was just unexplained infertility.
Yeah.
There was no reason why we weren't getting pregnant, so we were signed off from the fertility clinic and we were actually put forward to go for IVF. That was in Manchester. And then 3 months before we were due to have the appointment, Ula started feeling sick in the morning. So we did a test and it was positive.
In Morrison's toilet.
In Morrison's toilet, because that's how classy we are.
That's how unexpected it was. I just did the tests because I thought, well,
She didn't feel
might
quite
as well.
right, and we thought, we'll do one, and we'd done a few before, and it had always come back negative.
With them telling us, there was no chances to get pregnant.
It kind of got to the point where we were essentially told that there was just something wrong between the two of us, and that we would really struggle.
But there was nothing medically wrong.
Nothing medically wrong, just something incompatible between the two of us when it comes to having a child, and that is soul destroying when you get told that there's no explanation for it. You just don't know why.
Yeah, plus also the fact that they didn't really do a lot of tests. They did some of them. They test him a lot. With me, they didn't really do a lot, which I felt a bit weird, but they are professionals, they know what they're doing.
Well, we'd kind of got to the point, hadn't we, where we'd almost given up even doing tests.
Yeah.
Because we were so sick of Ula's period being late, and us thinking, oh, maybe this is the month, and then every time it was negative. But we were over the moon.
Yes, when we found out.
And we would like to say that Ula had a nice, easy pregnancy, but she literally had morning sickness from the day she found out she was pregnant up until pretty much the day she gave birth. She actually weighed less I think, the day she gave birth to Thomas than what she did the day she found out she was pregnant. She had to go for iron infusions. We were up at the hospital pretty much all afternoon one day, weren't we, while they were pumping iron into you. You were on a drip.
It's been...
Sorry, there's just some angry young Polish gentleman walking past our back garden. So yeah, Thomas arrived, and
we decided, all the doctors, when Thomas arrived, and they were saying like, oh, don't you dare have sex for the first few months, because you will get pregnant like this.
that's what we wanted.
That's what we wanted.
We,
It did not happen.
I mean, I've said many times, I'm 38 now, and I don't want to be too old a dad. My dad was quite old, and I don't want to be that old. So we wanted to get it done straight away. And we were told, you know, more than likely, once she'd had the first, it probably would be quite quick, get pregnant again and have another. Like Ula said, people were kind of warning us off it, but that is exactly what we wanted.
Yeah.
We don't do things conventionally. We never have done.
No.
But then again, it didn't happen.
It didn't. So after a year, again, we went back to the GP, but because we've already had Thomas, we've been told there is nothing really we can do. Well, they can do about it. So we've been very upset, and to be honest, we kind of gave up on the idea of having another child, because we knew Thomas was just a miracle.
We always say he's our little miracle baby. This time I actually prepared better. This time I actually produced the sample in the hospital, which was a challenge, in a cubicle in the toilets. But yeah, just probably more so than the first time. Once we struggled the second time, I got really down, really down. Because I was thinking once Thomas had come, we would be, we can have 3 or 4.
It happened, so it clearly came happening, and it didn't happen. Especially with all those doctors telling me, oh, don't worry, it will happen like this, you know. You will look at him and he will get pregnant. But I said, you know, we struggled. No, that doesn't matter, that's not important. You're gonna get pregnant, you're gonna look at him and you're gonna get pregnant.
And you see, I'm trying to word this so that I don't sound heartless, you see people, especially on social media, getting pregnant by mistake, getting pregnant by accident, getting pregnant on a one-night stand when they don't want children, and you're sat there
begging for one. And there is a million people like that, you know. Maybe it's one of you just you know, wanting a baby, and it's just so heartbreaking.
I mean, we were, at one point we were contemplating going in for adoption, weren't we?
Yes,
and fostering. We have a lot of love to give, and I think we are bloody good parents, and it just seemed so unfair that we couldn't have another baby, especially for Ula. You know, she's wanted loads of children from as young as she can remember. So we tried everything, and we went on to, Ula went on to, I think they're called 7 C's, trying for a baby vitamins. You take one every day and it's supposed to help, and nothing happened. And then it was around about this time that all hell broke loose and everything kind of went tits up, really.
Yes, it looks like those medicine, they do really work to get you going, to get pregnant. Unfortunately for me, that meant a lot of issues that were not discovered because I've never had scans or anything like that. So the symptoms I've got after taking those medication was my periods were always bad, always very heavy, always very painful. But the periods I got,
like living with a dragon for a week every month.
But the periods I've got after those medications, they were just like, oh my god, I really wanted to cut it all out of me. I had, the pain was so extreme. I was crying, I had boiling hot water bottle on me, nothing was helping, no painkillers, no nothing. It was really bad.
Did they start lasting longer as well? Do I remember that you didn't you once have a period that lasted about a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks?
It was just ridiculous. And because it happened 1 month, then another month, and another month. I thought there was something not right. I know it's always been bad, but this is getting extreme. So I went to the doctor and I said, I started taking those vitamins and it looks like they might have started something, because my periods now are very, very extreme, and the pain, and it's just really bad. Can we check it out? Can we have a look if there is something there? So I got actually a really good doctor. He sent me for ultrasound, which I had done. The lady at the ultrasound said it's definitely not the endometriosis.
100% definitely not endometriosis.
Because the scan didn't show it, which is a lie. And if you Google enough, you will find out that the ultrasound don't show endometriosis, at least not always. It can show it, but it's not always the case. So when I went back to the... Wait, no. Give a second. She said something about my uterus being quite a specific way, and I started googling all those different things, and then I discovered endometriosis. It was something very new. I had never heard about it, and to be honest, with how many people I find out how many people have it and how many people struggling with it, it's ridiculous they don't teach it. They teach about it at school, but then it was just very new, very raw, and I just keep reading into it, and I keep reading the symptoms, and I'm like, right, I've got this one, I've got this one, I've got this one, I've got this one.
Tick, tick.
It's just getting ridiculous. So I went back to the GP with the results, and I said, listen, I know the scan said it's not endometriosis, but I've got all the symptoms. Every single one of them, I've got it. And at the same time, I started having a pain in the left side of my abdomen. I had no idea what the pain is. It was not only during the period, it was also every day. It will come and go. Have it felt? It would go extreme to the point, if it got me in the middle of the road or in the middle of the car park, I had to just sit down, literally on the ground, right then and there, because I couldn't walk anymore. So I was really scared to leave the house. So the doctor said, well, I didn't really want to mention it, didn't want to scare you, but I think this might be a possibility. And we've agreed on laparoscopy, which means they would put camera in and check it out from the inside, because this is the best way to find out what's happening.
You've actually got 2 scars on each side and another one in your belly button,
Yeah.
haven't you?
So I've been sent from the GP to the hospital, to the consultant, to the gynecologist, and he was actually nice enough and believed in me, and he agreed that laparoscopy is the best way to find out what's happening. So I've been sent for the laparoscopy, and to be honest, I think they only did it to kind of shut me up and prove that there was nothing wrong, because it was done very carelessly. There is no real info about what they found and how bad was it, in what parts and all this. Right after, I had 3 different specialists coming and saying completely different things. One said, oh, there was nothing there. The other one came and said, how did you get pregnant? How on earth did you get pregnant?
He couldn't believe that we'd managed to have Thomas, could he?
Yeah, and the next one said, just, well, there is something there, you definitely need more investigation. With all those informations that are not really agreeing with each other, I went back to the consultant, and he said that there is a specialist that deals with the endometriosis, but it's 50 miles away and completely different county.
Yeah, it's in Cumbria, the top of Cumbria. We live in Lancashire, a completely different county.
So I've been sent there. I've attended a few times. and after a couple discussions we've decided to go for the endometriosis reduction surgery, which can be done either there in Preston or in Manchester. To have it done, I had to be put on injections that put me into menopause. So at this point, I am 32 and menopausal.
But bear in mind as well that the injections were all done in Barrow. You know, we had no issues with her having the injections, but we would have to go all the way to Barrow every time. And one of those times when I actually couldn't get the day off work, my mum took Ula. We had Thomas with us. They were stuck waiting for an injection for, was it 6 hours?
6 hours.
6 hours.
Because the hospital didn't have the injection.
It was literally a 20-second procedure, just an injection and off you go. 6 hours they were waiting in a tiny little room.
They also refused to
Ridiculous.
send the injection to the hospital near us. You know, the injection, anyone can do the injection, but apparently no, it has to be done there.
Because we asked, could it not be sent to even to Lancaster? Because there is actually a clinic in Morecambe, but it's hardly ever used, which is really annoying. But no, apparently there was no way they could send this little bottle of whatever it was to Lancaster, which
Prostab.
we thought was ridiculous. And as I said, I didn't mind going, but every time I had to go, I had to use a holiday day at work that could have been used for something more important, really.
Good.
You know,
Especially that, as we find out in a minute, there is more stuff coming.
because they don't give you an appointment; they just tell you to turn up on a specific day, and you basically wait your turn. So you could get there at 9 o'clock in the morning, and you could not get seen till 6 o'clock at night. It's complete potluck. So,
Well, those injections, because they put me into the menopause, it kind of, all the side effects came with it, despite me having hormones and having to take hormones and having to do injections every 3 months. The side effects were quite bad. I get hot, I get cold. Without the before I started taking hormones, I was like really angry 24/7. They've made my motion sickness worse. Basically, anything bad that could happen, it happened. I had headaches so severe. I ended up in a chemist begging the pharmacist there to just help me and give me something that's actually going to work, because the painkillers didn't work. So it was just all a bit too much. On top of that pain didn't go away. Now, I went back to the consultant, and because we've agreed on the surgery, he said, because they did laparoscopy kind of carelessly and there is no real info what's happening, what, where and all that, he don't know how bad it can be, and if I decide to have a surgery there, it might not be enough because he don't have enough stuff to do it there.
the results literally said, yes, you've got traces of endometriosis.
Not how
That was
much,
it.
no where.
Didn't
nothing.
say which side, how severe it was, nothing. So the specialist in Barrow had nothing to go on.
So after a quick chat, we decided to go for Preston.
Just being the nearest place. I mean, it's still 40 minutes away down the motorway, but it's the nearest of the three options.
And it's less, hopefully less busy than Manchester one. So the last consultant appointment I had, he sent a letter to the Preston hospital saying to take me on for the procedure, but also he said because I still have a pain and I shouldn't have the pain when I'm on the injection, he thinks there might be something else there and I'm being sent to colorectal team. Luckily this time it's locally, so I don't have to go too far, but
We actually got a letter through, and it was sent from Barrow, and you thought the appointment was in Barrow, didn't you? And you went absolutely ballistic.
I did, because I'm just tired of going there. You know, the problem is we've got you can't really get there any other way than in a car, which means he has to be day of work. And with me having to go separate day for the injection, separate day for the appointments with the consultant, and then I thought another one with that colorectal team. It's quite a lot of days when you have to go there. It's about hour 20 to get there and come back. We only have 6 hours in between Thomas being at school, because there is nobody to pick him up or drop him off at school, so we can't, we only have 6 hours to sort it all out. And with the waiting times there, even every single time I went for my consultant appointment, I never went in on time. The longest we waited was over an hour, past my appointment time. I honestly think, because of where the pain is and how specific it is, that I don't think it have anything to do with the colorectal team. But we'll see. I'm willing to try and check it, because we really want to try for at least one more, so Thomas is not the only child. We'll keep you updated on how it is, but it's really upsetting, and it's just kind of soul destroying that it's just.
It is, and barring obviously the time when Ula was pregnant with Thomas, it's looking, by the time we get round to having any sort of surgery for the endo, it's looking at about 8 years since we started trying to have a baby in the first place, altogether, barring that 9 months when Ula was pregnant with Thomas. And it's heartbreaking, especially for me, because I never really understood what it was. I don't think Ula knew either, to be honest. And I've been along with a couple of the appointments, and I actually watched a young lady's diary of it on YouTube, and she basically had suffered the same stuff that Ula had suffered. And then I read that someone else had it, and someone else had it, and it seems to affect a lot of women, and I think a lot of women don't know they've got it.
No, and the GPs usually ignore it.
So I think if you do feel any of these symptoms, I am urging everybody to go to the doctor and to just keep pestering them. Because if it hadn't been for Ula being a stubborn cow, we would never have even got this far.
No.
I had a week off recently. We did some decorating, and on one of the days, Ula collapsed to the floor. And she just physically couldn't get up. And
the pain was just so severe.
You don't want to think about ifs and maybes, but if I'd have been at work, she would have been on her own with Thomas. She could have been cooking something, we could have had a pan on, we could have had the oven on, and she physically couldn't move. And I didn't know what to do, because the only way to stop it is to just ride it out and wait for it to stop. And it's awful, because you feel helpless.
The hot water helps a little bit, but in my case it has to be like boiling hot. Painkillers, they are good for afterwards, but they don't really get rid of the pain. So it's the worst part is, I think, for me, that because it's kind of inside and people can't see it, so if you say, oh, I'm exhausted, they're like, well, then sleep more. Well, that's not the case, it's the endometriosis getting you tired. It's the endometriosis that you're having a pain. Yes, I walk, yes, I do cleaning, I cook, I do everything, but the pain is there, and most of the time it's there all the time, the all day. It comes and goes when it's worse, but mostly it's just it's just there, and people can't see it. People see me do things, but they don't see me being in pain because I don't show it.
I was going to say, especially on YouTube, we're not going to sit and record you in a lot of pain, because that's not good for anybody. Mostly you, but
well, maybe we will one day, just to
maybe just to kind of prove a point to how bad it can be. Maybe we will record it one day, but it's not something I want to have to see.
No, just if you know someone is struggling with it, please understand, and please bear in mind they're gonna be tired, they're gonna be exhausted, they can have all sorts of symptoms, not visible symptoms, so just give them a break.
Can be fine for days on end, but then did that even click? I think I cracked my knuckle. Out of nowhere, it can just hit, or probably almost like being stabbed, and you just can't do a thing. Like Ula said, she stopped out walking, and you just have to sit down because you can't do physically anything about it.
Because if you try to move, it hurts even more. They're not, honestly, probably as bad as labour. Yeah.
And like Thomas doesn't understand, does he? And he'll say, "Oh, can you pick me up?" And no, because you just physically can't.
Because it just hurts. Well, we'll keep you updated at what's happening next. For now, I have nothing till December except injection and
Christmas, isn't it?
And another consultant appointment. I have my first consultant appointment in Preston in December, so I'm guessing there'll be no surgery till next year probably.
Knowing our luck, it'll be the week between Christmas and New Year.
Or
when
Christmas
when
week.
we're actually all at home for the Christmas period, and but if it has to be, it has to be. Anything to sort of try and get it sorted.
At this point, it's not even about getting pregnant again. At this point, it's just to get rid of that pain and make it manageable.
Yeah, I would forgo having another child if we could get Ula sorted. If we could get Ula, even not even fully, but even a little bit pain free, then that would be good enough for me, because it's got bad.
Very bad.
So thank you very much for watching.
Thank you.
If you like the video, leave a like, subscribe if you want to.
If you're in a similar situation, if you have endo or know someone that's battling endo or infertility and they're just unlucky, just comment below.
Maybe someone's even mentioned to you that they're feeling some of the symptoms that Ula's talked about and they don't know why. Get them to go to the doctors and just keep pestering
and
them.
Google everything, but just bear in mind that some stories are extreme, but just Google the symptoms, Google what it can be, and never say never.
Yeah. So thank you very much.
Thank
guys.
you. Bye.
Bye.